Hey guys, so in this video I want to take the opportunity to introduce my boy here, Timothy. So Timothy is usually the brains behind all the articles that you see on our website, piston.my. So if you want daily news regarding anything to do with the automotive world, locally in Malaysia as well as around the world, check out Timothy's work and check us out at piston.my. So besides that, we are also slowly grooming Timothy to host some videos. So this is me easing him into the world of videos. Hey guys, we all seem to have that one friend that always tells us that all petrols are the same. Well, I'm here to tell you that that's wrong. Take BH Petrol's Infinity RON 97 Euro 4M for example. It comes with special German additives that are designed to keep your engine clean by reducing the amount of deposits that build up in your engine over the long term. Besides that, it also has an improved friction modifier that actually reduces the amount of friction that your engine has to go through, which ultimately gives you better mileage, making BH Petrol's Infinity RON 97 Euro 4M the right choice.
1, 2, 3, yeah.
But anyway, besides that, right now we are in the Proton S70. This is the flagship variant, and Timothy picked it up last week, and he had some time with it, much more than I've had. I just stepped into the car. Of course, I've driven this car before from, if you will recall, one of our videos from Penang to KL. That was our first impression video, and I'll add a link to that video somewhere in the description box or on the screen right here. And right now, it's just us getting to know the S70 a little bit better. But none other than Timothy probably knows this car better than me right now because he's had a few days with it. So Tim, your likes and dislikes.
Okay, so first of all, this is the flagship X because it comes with the sunroof.
Correct.
The flagship is the one without the sunroof. I mean,
Yeah.
not much difference. I didn't use the sunroof that much because of our Malaysian weather.
That's a blind spot monitoring system, by the way.
Yeah. So yeah, okay, let's just talk about the safety system first. The safety system is really good in this car. Like it's really helpful. The lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring.
Yeah.
It was just perfect. Like it worked the way I wanted it to work.
Yeah.
Besides that, I would say another plus point is Proton's aircon. The aircon is just amazing.
Yeah.
I had to like turn up the heat once in a while because it got really cold. Even when the weather outside is like what, 35, 36.
It gets cold in here.
Yeah, it gets really cold in here, so
That's
don't
the
have a
beauty,
problem with an aircon.
Actually, that has never been a problem with Proton, has it?
Yep, since last time. The aircon is good. Besides that, I would say driving it feels really good. It feels premium. It feels like a flagship car. But I would just like to say that the throttle is a bit choppy if you're not used to it, because you can play around with the different modes. They have Eco, Comfort and Sport.
Yeah.
So in Eco, the power surge is not that much.
Right.
Comfort is just nice, but like I said, if you're not familiar with the throttle, you may accidentally do a wheel spin. I've done it a few times.
Times, huh? Yeah, take a left.
Because especially when you're over a bump or when you're uphill, and you really need to play around with the auto hold.
Yeah.
Because the auto hold plays a very big role in this.
Yeah.
If the auto hold is not on, your car can tend to roll back a bit, which makes you want to hit the throttle a bit more, which gives you that surge of power and you wheel spin in front. So you need to like really know how to control it. With auto hold on, it's much easier. But like I said, like you need to play around with the throttle, and you kind of get used to it after a while. And I would say that the brakes work really well. Like there are no problems with the brakes because of the power that it's giving out. The brakes work perfectly fine. It's not too responsive. It's not late. So it's just nice.
It's grabby.
It's grabby. It's grabby.
I totally agree with you that throttle thing is something that we experienced when we first drove it in Penang as well. And I think that was a feedback that almost all the entire Malaysian motoring journalist fraternity agreed upon, that the throttle response is just, first there's nothing and there's too much, you know. So there's no, it's not linear and it's not well sorted, but that's just a ECU programming away, so I don't think it's going to take Proton that long to fix that. But besides that, I actually really like the interior of this car. It feels really premium, and perhaps this is why Proton has been calling it a C-segment car. A C-segment car means that it goes up against the likes of the Honda Civic, you know, the Toyota Corolla Altis, which I think is a bit too much lah. I mean, having driven the car before, calling it a C-segment car is very bold because it cannot, I don't think it compares against the Honda Civic.
I can add on to that by saying it's definitely not, because it doesn't have enough space, legroom. There's not enough legroom. I took my family in this. We went for a drive and all. You just say someone my size and my brother's height. My brother's about almost as tall as you. So if we sit in our usual sitting position, my mom and my auntie did not have legroom at all at the back. They actually, because they're a bit older, so they kind of struggle to get in and out of the car because of the legroom. So my brother had to get down on the car, pull the seat in front, like all the way to the front, and then they could get out. So I would say that
that's not
their
great.
first impression, the moment my mom got in the car, she was like, I can give you the review now itself. I was like, okay.
So there you go. In terms of space and calling it a C-segment car, a friend of mine put it very nicely, that it's a horrible C-segment car, but it's a brilliant B-segment car. So in that sense, I think Proton probably stretched it a bit too much by calling it a C-segment car lah. Anyway, Powertrain, thoughts on the engine?
Okay, so one thing I noticed, the engine is very, very loud.
Loud, huh?
Yeah, so if you, because now the windows are up, but if your windows are down, it sounds like your Ranger lah, bro, honestly.
Really? It sounds like a diesel engine.
It sounds like a diesel engine because
from the outside?
Yeah, from the outside. From the inside it's fine, because inside most of the time you're going to have music playing and all, so you won't notice it. But
you're right,
so it's a bit loud, and even on idle you can hear it. It's like a Ford Ranger next to me when it's on idle. So but that's just a minor issue lah. It's nothing major. If you're driving the car, you won't really hear it that much.
Fuel efficiency,
really good. When I got the car, I had about 770 kilometers full tank. I had the car for 3 days already. I've been driving around here and there. I've been going to PJ, I've been going to Kepong, I've been testing the car here and there. And right now, I have 478 kilometers left. So
you're actually just quarter tank. You're quarter tank down, your third full tank, and you get left. You get a range of 478 kilometers. That's pretty decent lah.
Yeah, it's really good. I didn't have to worry about stopping to fuel up or what. I was just driving it, man. So for maybe it can last you about 5-6 days full tank. That's depends on where you go.
That's great. And okay, so what do you think about the gear selector? Any feedback, or are you totally fine? I saw you looking at it. You probably didn't notice lah.
No, because for me it's fine. Like when I sat down, it was like normal. I just pull it down to D. Neutral or D or what, and it's very easy.
But you have to pull it down twice, right? Push it down twice, right?
Yeah, I mean just like any auto gearbox from P, you still have to pull it down a bit to go to D. So it's just like 1, 2, just a simple click. If you're really like used to it, like I got used to it on the first day itself. Okay. So it's not a learning curve, lah. It's very simple.
I find it irritation lah that because it's an electronic gear shifter. Okay, for an electronic gear shifter, for example, I'm just coming out of the BYD Auto 3, and even that is a single movement. But when you pull it all the way down, it just goes to D, automatically goes to D. And then when you want it to go to reverse, like for this, from D to reverse, you have to put it up twice.
Yeah.
Okay, but in the R23, for example, and a lot of other cars, you just have to push it up once from D to R. The reason being, there's an unlock button, which means this one doesn't have an unlock button. So you know there's a lock.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things lah. But anyway, Proton says that it's a safety feature, which makes sense because there's no unlock button. I mean, so okay lah. I find it one step too many. But like you said, can get used to it. Okay. It's impossible to get into a Proton these days and not talk about Apple CarPlay.
Yeah, but I had a bit of a problem with that because I mean the built-in GPS system is fine, it works fine. It's just that it can be a bit choppy, laggy, buggy.
Yeah.
Because I was actually going somewhere to Old Klang Road and I was using the GPS now to try it out. But it just stopped halfway. It said, "You're here." I was like, "What? I'm in the middle of the highway."
Yeah, but this GPS system, this software is not great at all. And it doesn't take you on the most direct route. We've tried it. It's just, sorry Proton, it's just horrible.
Yeah.
So we desperately need Apple CarPlay. Proton has said that they are developing it. They probably will introduce it this year. For current, for example, if you buy the S70 now and Proton introduces the Apple CarPlay a few months later, it's just a simple software upgrade. But for some of the older cars, for example the X50, the earlier generation X70s, you'll need to do a hardware update, which means you'll need to spend some money lah. Anyway, you can't argue against Apple CarPlay. I would spend the money as long as it's not too expensive. But you made a very good point with this. This is a phone holder.
Yeah.
So you made a very good point that you cannot put it over here in the center because the length of the phone will mean that
it hits the buttons that pop out here, and also you can't put it in fully because of the screen.
The screen, correct. So that means you need to use it on your
driver's side.
So which is also a bit of a pain in the bottom because then your USB cable,
it has to stretch from the middle all the way there, and it blocks half the air conditioning vent. Yeah.
So quite silly, but this, of course, then you can get the other type of phone holders like the suction cup.
The suction cup. But of course, it's going to leave a mark on your windscreen, which is
that
not
tends
pretty.
to just wobble around a lot, depending on how the road is.
Yeah.
So anyway, the design of the car is undeniably handsome. It's a good-looking car, no doubt.
I would not disagree with that.
Yeah, and I think in terms of spaciousness, as you said, depending on.
I mean, if you're a smaller size family, then maybe it's fine. But even my brother's girlfriend sat in the car, and she's like really small, like tiny. Okay. Even she found that the rear legroom space not that much.
So
not that much space. So I'm not sure why it's like that. I mean, it looks big, but when you sit in it,
the boot space is decent though.
Boot space is decent. The driver's space, this is fine. This is fine, even if you're sitting
left here.
Up close or what, it's fine. Just the rear legroom space is a bit of a problem.
So anyway guys, this is Tim's first impression, a very good feedback regarding spaciousness. Throttle choppy, totally agree. So I'm going to be taking over the car from him and driving it for the next couple of days before I return it. So we shall be back with a more in-depth review later on. So it's a beautiful rainy morning and it's a much welcome respite from the weeks of heat that we Malaysians have had to endure. So it's a pleasant 26 degrees this morning and I'm just so grateful for it. Might make our life a little bit complicated to shoot this video outdoors later, but I'd rather this than the horrible heat. Anyway, how does the Proton S70 feel? So I've been driving it after picking it up from Timothy, and there are a couple of things that I concur with him and there are a couple of things that I sort of disagree. For example, the accelerator pedal, I've just sort of learned how to live with it. I understand where Timothy is coming from. The first time you get behind the wheel of the S70 and start driving it, you do expect the throttle, the accelerator pedal to be sort of familiar, and it does have that moment of nothingness, and then suddenly just a wave of torque just lights up the front wheels and catches you off guard. So there you go, happened again. Happened again. However, I've just learned how to modulate it. So, but there are times where it's a little bit unpredictable, like a couple of seconds ago. So it's just nothing and then a lot of something. And then 226 Newton meters of torque can easily light up the front wheels as I experienced earlier. So that is something that you just learn how to live with, or you learn how to deal with. That's a lane departure warning. And one way to go about it is to drive it in eco mode, but eco mode just makes the air conditioning a bit too warm. So that's a bit of a bummer. And sport, yeah, if you want to modulate the throttle, the accelerator pedal, I don't think you want it in sport mode. So I'm not sure why Proton has not addressed this. This is a feedback that I think almost all Malaysian motoring journalists gave them during our drive in Penang. So very choppy, very, unpredictable accelerator feel. So that's something that I think could be better, but that's just a simple reprogramming away. So we hope to see it in the second batch of Proton S70s and such. So speaking about the engine, it's a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder, obviously turbocharged engine, making 150 PS, 226 Newton meters of torque, channeling power to the front wheels via a 7-speed dual clutch transmission. So now that we got the figures away, this is the same engine as some of you have probably seen and experienced in the Proton X50. Yeah, it's the same engine. So it's something that it's tried, tested, and I think it's been proven to be durable, proven to be just good enough. The fuel efficiency is really impressive, no doubt about it. Wow, this is the first time I'm seeing so much traffic on this highway. Anyway, fuel efficiency is good. The entire driving experience is decent, aside from the sudden wall of torque from the accelerator. Besides that, I just really like how the interior feels as well. The design of the interior is, I would describe it as simplistic. It's quite simple. There's not much buttons. There are the main controls for the air conditioning. Yes, there are buttons for that, so which is really important. However, I wish there were buttons for the drive mode selector as well, because that's like a 3 or 4 step process to change from eco to comfort to sport. So yeah, there are 3 drive modes. So I wish there was easier access for that. But other than that, I think I got no complaints about the interior. But I do want to address the refinement in this car, because when we first drove this car from Penang back to KL during the media preview drive, perhaps about a month and a half, 2 months ago, I thought that the refinement level in this car was quite good. On the highway, it was great. There's not much noise that was intruding back in the cabin at some very illegal speeds. Now though, I'm just doing 80 and I can hear everything that is going on with the tires at ground zero, where the tires make contact with the road. You know how some cheaper cars have wheel wells that sound hollow, and they're especially obvious during heavy rain, where the tires are kicking up water and water is just splattering back onto the wheel wells, and it just makes it sound very cheap. That's what I'm getting from the S70 right now. So I'm hearing some water splashing back. via the wheel wells, and it just doesn't sound very nice. So I'm kind of surprised at the refinement in here. I got to check out the condition of the tires. So you know, this media cars and such, they go through quite a lot of beating. But let me check it's only done 7,685 kilometers. So unless somebody has been really eating these tires, that really shouldn't be a problem. Anyway, they're running in Goodyear Assurance tires. I'll check on which model exactly shortly. So no complaints there actually, besides the refinement, besides all of that. The interior feels nice. I gotta make a special shout out to the seats. They don't only look good, they're very supportive. I do wish there was a little bit more tire support. So the driver gets electronically adjustable seats. The passenger gets manual seats. Obviously, no memory function in here. But what I wish there was thigh support, because now the seats are too flat. So if you're a little bit on the taller side, like me, you'll probably find it a little bit difficult to get comfortable because there's just not much thigh support. But besides that, I just gotta say, the interior feels great. Refinement can be a little bit oozy, especially in rain. And power is good enough, 150 PS. I don't want to light up the wheels right now. It's raining quite heavily, as you can probably see. No complaints. However, there are a couple of things that I think can be easier. We'll get to that shortly. So, this is how the interior of the S70 looks like. It's one of the things that I felt when I first sat in the Proton S70 back in Penang was wow. You know, it's just simple, straightforward, to the point. I like some buttons, so I'm really glad that the main controls for the air conditioning dials, air conditioning controls are still physical buttons. However, as I was saying earlier, for you to access stuff like selecting your drive modes, for example, I know that as you go through your vehicle, your ownership experience, the chances of you changing your drive modes is probably on the lower side. But let's say that you want to, and let's assume that you actually change your drive modes quite a lot. So to change your drive modes, you need to press this home button or this button here. Then you go to vehicle, which is 2 steps already, and there you go. So 2 or 3 steps just to change your drive modes, eco, sport or comfort. So I think it should be simpler than that. The other thing that I think should be simpler is your digital cockpit over here, your digital meter panel. I think there's just too much information. You know, it's good, it's clear, it's crisp. The display is really good, but there's just too much information. I wish there was an option to simplify it. You know, for example, what happens if I just want to know the speed, or if I just want to know fuel efficiency? I just want simpler readouts like that. There's no option for that. So right now it's just telling me stuff like the music that I'm listening to is telling me the left door is open. It's telling me the gear is selected to P. It's telling me that, you know, the drive mode is on comfort. Oh, it's just too much unnecessary information. But anyway, besides that, you also get more storage space over here. You get a USB port, your power outlet. You get a wireless charge pad. You get a USB port over here. More storage space over here. And this is the drive mode selector, which in my opinion I was talking to with Timothy about, it can be a little bit unnecessarily complicated in my eyes, in my opinion at least. So for example, let me just get this out of the way so you can focus on this. So for example, if I wanted to go to D right now, I will have to do this 2 times. I have to click it down. And if I wanted from D, if I wanted to go to R, I have to press it up twice. If I want to go to N, it's down. Or if I want to select, or if I want to manually change gears, up shift is to your right, down shift is to your left, and P is here. I think that just add an unlock button lah. You know, it's just so much more easier. Why a 2-step, 3-step? Oh my god. Anyway, it's just not intuitive to actually manually shift gears. left and right. It should be up and down. So yeah. Anyway, besides that, as I said, quality, top-notch, refinement, yeah, could be better, and the layout is simplistic and to the point. So as I was saying earlier, the engine is a 1.5 litre turbocharged 3-cylinder engine. And the thing about 3-cylinder engines is that because they are off balance, so there are not many car makers that are able to properly refine the balancing of the engine. So what do I mean by the balancing of the engine? Now watch this, yeah? Wanjo, start. You see that? You see how it just moves around? And you tend to feel that in the cockpit. And the other thing about the engine is that Timothy was right. It does sound like my Ford Ranger, meaning it does sound like a diesel engine. But that's not to mean that the engine is not nice. As I've said earlier, 150 PS, 226 Newton meters of torque is just spot on. It just gives the Proton S70 just the right amount of power. Unfortunately, the accelerator feel does, as I said, tend to catch you off guard, but after you get used to it, you learn how to modulate the throttle. It might sound like a diesel engine, but in terms of efficiency, there's no arguing against a 1.5 litre 3-cylinder turbocharged engine. In terms of design, there also is no denying the fact that the S70 is quite a good looking machine. There's no bad angle to it. I just love the grille. You know, I love the headlights. Of course, you get LED headlights, and during startup and shutdown, it has some really funky light play. So that I really think is cool as well. I think Proton, as well as Geely, of course, has added a really cool feature as far as light play is involved. It runs on 17-inch Goodyear Triple Max 2 Assurance tires. So in that sense, no complaints about the tires. I generally don't have any complaints about the way the car looks like. I think it looks good. There's no bad angle to it. Yeah, there's nothing else to say as far as the design goes. So what about boot space? Well, first of all, you don't get a powered tailgate, which is quite normal in cars of this category. Space is obviously decent, and most importantly, you get a spare tire. Though this is a space saver spare tire, it's good enough to ensure that you don't spend a lot of time by the side of the road. It's much better than run flat tires anyway. And so finally, to address the elephant in the room, Proton calls the S70 a C-segment contender, which means that it goes against the likes of the Mazda 3, the Honda Civic, the Toyota Corolla, which in my opinion, it cannot put a wheel against those cars. It's not a C-segment contender. It's a very, very good B-segment contender. It's just not a very good C-segment contender. I'm not sure why Proton is calling it a C-segment contender, because at 94,800 ringgit, it's priced in the range of the likes of the Honda City, the Toyota Vios, which, if Proton calls it a B-segment contender, it will just trump the competition. Or will it? We can't address that until a wheel-to-wheel comparison. So look out for that video, which we are going to be working on in a couple of weeks. Now though, at 94,800 ringgit, is the Proton S70 worth the money? Definitely. I think it offers everything that you would want in a B-segment car. It's obviously has good enough space, the boot space is decent, the interior has proper refinement, quality, build quality is good, efficiency is great, and it can cruise at some speeds that could get your license confiscated. What else could you want in a B-segment contender? As usual, do consider subscribing. Thank you for watching.